Hey everybody, welcome back to another Passion Chats, and I'm really excited to introduce everybody to Amal Abu Eid. How are you, Amal?
I'm well, thanks, Natalie. How are you?
I'm really great, thank you. You know, I have only just met Amal over the phone just this week, and the moment we started chatting, I thought I must get her on for the weekly dose of passion chat because she epitomizes everything that I'm wanting to share and try and encourage with Find Your Passion Day. So I'm thrilled that you agreed to jump on and do this video chat with me.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on board.
Fabulous, thank you. So what I love to kick off with first is to get an idea as to what your passion does for you. So how does it make you feel?
I think as an educator, very early on in my life, I guess probably when I was 18 years old even, I just felt there was a big desire in me to pass on knowledge and, be an educator. So even before I became a high school teacher, I was teaching my cousins and my brothers out of my garage at home. So I would, sort of set up the encyclopedias and get them each under a bit of a computer to sort of type up their assignments or their essays. So I've always sort of had that in me, that passion to educate and to, I guess, inspire and empower the youth in particular. I mean, I did get into high school, but it's always just been about passing on knowledge or learning a bit more about our history and passing that on. So it's always that notion of passing on. I'm not an 80-year-old professor with all this wisdom, but anything that I do learn, I like the idea of passing it on or gaining knowledge, because I think education is a lifelong journey and you never stop learning. The old saying is true. You do learn something new every day. And I'd love to be part of that.
Yeah, I love that. And I should warn you that I get this cheesy grin on my face when I get excited by the person I'm talking to, because when I can see your passion shine through, it just lights up the passion inside me as well. And I love that. And, I've definitely over the last few years really tapped into that learning. When I finished school and went through uni and I thought, that's it, I'm done studying. I don't want to learn anything else. And it wasn't until, a few years ago where I really missed that learning element. So I totally agree. So you've touched on what your passion is. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about where your passion is today and what you do to nurture that.
Yeah, so I did start off, like I said, in education and teaching in particular. But then after having my kids, just juggling that became a little bit difficult for me. And so while I was at home with my kids, one was in kindy, one was too young. And so we were just sort of at home. And the ideas of writing a book started to sort of happen in my head. And I thought of writing a book in particular for a Australian Muslim audience. And so then I thought that's my way of of staying an educator, but it's just a different avenue. So I'm not inside a classroom, but in saying that, my books are inside classrooms now. And so I feel like a part of me is still out there doing what I love to do, which is to educate and to share knowledge, especially about my faith as a Muslim woman. And so that's where my path has sort of changed a little bit. But I think the passion is still there. Like, I started off doing marketing for a couple of years after school and before I knew anything about what I wanted to do. But I knew my heart wasn't in it. It was a matter of just, let's finish this diploma and tick it off and then really find what I like. And after I'd done that, I knew business wasn't for me. It's great to make money, but it wasn't something that really sort of spoke to me. But education has and probably always will. And so writing the books, yes, it's a different path, but it's along that same passion and it's along that same road. And I feel like when I write the books and when I read the books to the kids and you see them sort of shaking their heads and grinning and learning a new way of life or understanding a different way of life, it really makes my day.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And what I love as well is that, you've had your passion for education and that's been with you for a very long time. And, through the means of having kids and life changing, you've taken that on a different path and you're still nurturing that education side whilst tapping into your passion from a different avenue. And the reason why I resonated with your story so much is because, it's Find Your Passion Day is about helping people see that it doesn't have to be the typical status quo passion we can turn it into something and turn it into whatever we want it to be. So yeah, and I just love your story. So tell me, you come up with the idea to write children's books. What were some of the obstacles or challenges that you had to work through to get started on that?
Definitely, I think number one for me is self-belief. So believing in yourself is probably, I don't know, but I'd probably say it's the most important thing, because if you don't have that belief in yourself, no matter what anybody says, you know, you could have an army behind you saying, no, you've got this. But if it's not happening in your mind and in your heart and soul, then it's very, very hard to get over that hurdle. And when you believe in yourself, even if you have the whole world against you, again, you can still do it. So I think the belief and the confidence in knowing your ability and knowing what you're putting out there is of value, and it makes you feel good. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. Somebody might disagree with what you've written, but if you feel like there's value in it for you and you know why you're doing it, I think definitely go for it. And sometimes I say, you know, it's difficult to write books with my children around. I don't get enough sleep, or I don't get enough quiet time to sit and write and all of that. But I remind myself that the reason I am writing is because I am a mother. Had I not become a mother, I most likely would have been in high school, still a high school teacher, which would have been lovely. But like I said earlier, the path is a little bit different now. And I think the joy that, you know, you can see kids don't really lie very well. You know, you can see when they're happy, they're happy. And when they're understanding something, they'll you know, nod along. If they're not, they'll kind of look at you like, what on earth is she talking about? And I've experienced that as I've entered classrooms and read to kids and spoken with them and got them to try on little scarves and hats and things like that. You know, they're really open and they're really honest. So any obstacle that I do face, I kind of remind myself that, you know what, it's just an obstacle. We can go around it. We can navigate it. We can go, you know, it's like that Bear Hut book. We can't go over it,
Yeah.
can't go under it. We have to go through it, you know, so you
Yeah.
just keep going, and I don't think you stop. And it's a lifelong journey. And like I said, it's not about, you know, we're on a different, it's just a different path. It might get you somewhere different, but I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing now, but I'm loving it. And had I stopped and said, oh, okay, I'm not a teacher anymore, so I'm nothing, then I would have become nothing. You know, you got to take it and say, all right, it's changed, it's different, but let's make it, you know, something great. And I'm hoping that's what I'm doing. I'm hoping that the books that I'm writing are empowering the kids that are reading them and allowing kids like my kids who are Muslim growing up in Australia to feel included, to feel represented, and to, you know, to be proud of who they are without having to say, oh, you know, that's something I just do at home. I'm not allowed to bring that out into the public space. So hopefully that's what I'm hoping that my books are
Yeah.
doing.
Oh, you know, absolutely beautiful. And, you know, you're inspiring not just kids, but, you know, women like me as well, that, you know, we can create anything. And so, yeah, I really commend you on what you are doing. And it sounds like you are so very much driven by the impact that you're wanting to make in the community and the lives of children and their family. And you can see that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I'm trying to work so hard with my community because I feel like whatever I know and whatever I'm able to do, I feel like it's a gift from God and it's a blessing. And I can't sort of hone in that and just use that in my household. It's great to be a mum. It's great to be there for your children. But I feel like this is a big picture and I'm part of a community. And I think, you know, the community is the society, and then the society is the country, and the country becomes part of the world. And if you can start at that grassroots level, you know, your impact can become major and really significant. Even if you might sort of be forgotten and no one will, it's just those little pieces of the puzzle that you sort of put together, and you create avenues and spaces for other people to do other amazing things. I think that's awesome. And to be part of that and to be able to do that, I think, you know, why stop? Why not do it? You know, why
Yeah.
wait for somebody else to do it?
Yeah, incredible. You're an incredible role model to, you know, not only your kids, but to us as well. So tell me, what has been the ripple effect of you taking on your passion to the people around you? So particularly your family and friends, you know, have you seen a flow and effect to you loving your passion and I guess nurturing your health and well-being as a result?
Well, I think one of the things that really stick out to me is just recently one of the mums talking to me about how, you know, she is a migrant mum and her husband came from overseas as well. So their child sort of grew up in a household where the predominant language was Arabic, and he wasn't very confident in speaking or reading in English. And then she said that, you know, when he got access to my book and read it, and she read it to him, she said it sort of changed his whole life, because he connected on a whole nother level with a book. You know, he saw characters that spoke his language. He saw characters that followed the same faith as he did. He saw characters that lived in Australia, but, you know, had grandparents who were from overseas. So there were these things that he could relate to. And so he loved it, you know, and the fact that it resonated with him on that level, it's kind of like, you know what, I've done okay, you know, even if it's just this one kid. But I have had, you know, other parents say the same thing to me, you know. My daughter told me you walked into the class and she was so excited because she's covered like you. You know, she came in and she was covered like you and she prayed like us. And so for Muslim kids in particular, to be able to see somebody that looks like them or speaks like them or sounds like them or has a difficult name to pronounce as well, but is doing these amazing things, as kids, you know, being an author is amazing for a kid. You know, you get to meet an author or get your book signed. Having that impact and showing them that you can do it, even if you are wearing a headscarf, even if your name isn't an English name. I think that's empowered me, and I feel like the more I feel empowered, the more I want to empower others. You know, just also working within my family, you get comments about, you know, great job, you're doing really well, you're inspiring, and all of these sorts of things, which are a big, you know, pill to swallow for me. I don't sort of take it lightly. And I feel these words are wonderful words, but I feel like, okay, I need to make sure I live up to this. I don't just want to put these, you know, labels onto me because, you know, that's what it is. I want them to have meaning. I want them to be sincere. Yeah. I want my actions to be sincere. And in all of that, no matter how far and wide I'm spread or whatever, whoever I help and all that, I think the main thing for me is maintaining my humility and staying humble and making sure that, you know, it's not just about me, you know, it's the bigger picture. Why I write isn't so that I get famous and so that I get, you know, my name on walls and all of that. It's really about passing on this information and the knowledge and the you know, helping to breed, I guess, a more tolerant society, hopefully.
Yeah, and I can see that you do just that, and you know, you can see how humble you are, and you know, how grounded you are, you know, despite the work that you're doing, and you can definitely see that shining through. So yeah, kudos to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I guess just in closing then, what sort of advice would you give to another woman, or man as well, who may have this feeling that they've got a passion, but they just have no idea where to start? What might you share with them?
I think if you've got the passion, it's not about starting. It's just about, you know, sort of, it becomes you, you know, like for me, if I sit back and say, where did it start? Like I said, it's probably when I was 18-year-old in my parents' garage. I had this burning desire. But then you get people, like I say, you know, for example, on MasterChef, who've been working in an industry for 20 odd years and then decide, no, you know what, I want to pursue my passion for cooking. So there is something that, you know, that's within you, that there's desire. So just either get into a group and talk about it, get onto Facebook and see what other people are talking about, what other people are doing. Voice your passion. You know, don't let it just be something in your head that you love but nobody knows about. Talk about it, say why you love it, and then you'll realize that it actually is a passion. Like when I started to write the books, I didn't realize how passionate I was, and I've become so much more passionate when I see the impact. You know, I think when you see the impact, the passion starts to grow, and it's not a matter of just, oh, I'm so passionate 100%, I can't be more passionate, you know, or I can't even change my passion. It can change, it can evolve, it can get bigger, it can shrink some days. Some days I wake up and I'm like, you know what, I'm not writing another letter. I don't want to even know books anymore.
Yeah.
It does overwhelm you, you know, because you're so, you invest so much into it. And like anything, an investment is just that, you know, it can be great one day, and then the next day it's just like, oh, what am I doing? You know, and you question yourself 100,000 times. But it's that questioning that takes you back, and you're like, no, you know what? I'm going to fight for this because it is something I want and I need and I love. And I think so. If you want to just, where do I start? Just start. Just talk about it, voice it, write about it, do whatever it takes, but don't ignore it. You know, if it's there forever, and it should be treated, you know, and explore it. And if it doesn't work out, who cares? You know, at least you've tried. And that's what I think. You know, I've taken out these books, and hopefully number 2 will be out soon. Hopefully, And if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, I've tried.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it, it really comes down to that whole self-belief piece as well. And, the more you can talk about it, the more you start to tap into it, the more you start to believe that this is actually something that I love. And, and it's forever a work in progress. You don't ever just, tap into your passion and then it stops there. It morphs and it becomes something. And, you definitely demonstrate that over your life. And,
yeah, it's not a bucket list thing, exactly. It's not a matter of, okay, I felt, that passion's done.
Yes.
New passion now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. And you feel it in your heart and you feel it in your gut and you just know. And that's what Find Your Passion Day is. It's not about, going on a bear hunt trying to find this thing, but it's actually giving yourself permission to tap into what's inside and, start, try or do, even if it's a matter of just talking about it, researching it. Just doing those little steps that get you a little bit closer to seeing, is this something I'd absolutely love to pursue? So, yeah. And yeah, beautiful. And I thank you so much for being a part of it. You are very, self-aware and self-connected woman, and, have such insightful things to share when it comes to passions and doing what you love and creating an impact in the community. So I thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you so much. It's been so fun.
And so I must share that Amal has an Instagram page called Books by Amal. So jump on to Instagram. Are you on Facebook as well, or predominantly Instagram?
I am, but I'm in the process of sort of creating the Books by Amal Facebook page. But otherwise, my name, Amal Abouid, will be, you'll find my Facebook page there.
Yeah, fabulous. All right. Well, yeah, everybody jump on Instagram and check out the books that Amal is writing because, very passionate story and some fabulous work that she's doing. Thank you so much again, and see you around.
See you later, guys.
Bye.